Welcome back to our channel, The Catalyst, our home of all solutions. So, today we are going to take lesson 9, which will be on functions and procedures. So, we can see the lesson objectives here. We are supposed to understand the role of functions and procedures in modular programming. We are supposed to learn how to declare, define, and call functions. We also need to know how to pass parameters by value, and we are also supposed to recognize the difference between a function and a procedure. So that is it. So without wasting time, we'll take an example. As you can see here, example where we write a program that takes in an array of marks of 5 students, calculates the average, and prints the average mark. Okay, so that is it. Let's go and implement it here. So this is it. So we'll start by the first thing we need to understand is that there's a difference between a procedure and a function. A function is simply a block of code that returns a value. Okay, whereas a procedure is a function that returns void or does not return a value. Okay, so that is just it. So functions can take arguments called parameters. Okay, functions can take arguments called parameters, and so what we'll do now is we'll try and write this program using a function, after which we'll write the program using a procedure, that same program. So the first thing you need to do is to declare the function type. Our function is supposed to return the average mark, and average is a float. So what we'll do is we'll just write float, then the name of the function, and in this case we'll call the function average. Okay, we'll call the function average. That takes in as parameter the marks, an array of marks. So we'll call it maybe array marks. Okay, array marks, and we'll give the size of the array. We'll just consider that you will take any size. Okay. Now we may also take in the size as a parameter. Is it necessary? No, we don't need to. So this is how we declare a function. We start with the function type, as you can see here, which is float, the function name, and then the parameters inside. In this example, we have just one parameter, which is the mark that we are going to take in. And now in the function, what are we supposed to do? We are supposed to take the marks, add them up, and calculate the average mark. So how do we do it? We declare an integer I for the loop, since it's a one-dimensional array. So index will be I, starting from 0 to 4. Okay, and then secondly, we are going to have a variable called sum that will help us to calculate the sum, and initially sum will be 0. Okay, and then we'll have a variable average, okay, avg, which is the average, which we need to calculate at the end. So now what we'll do is we'll just dive into the loop. So initially I starts from 1, I will be less than 5, since we want to store in 5 marks, we want to calculate the average of 5 marks, and I will increment by 1. So inside now the loop, what do? We are going to take, we'll say sum should be equals to sum, the initial sum, plus array, which in this case the array is marks. Okay, marks at position I. Simple as that. It's a one-dimensional array, so we have just one. Okay, so that is it. We are going to add them all, and then once we've gotten the sum now, we'll calculate the average. How do we get the average? The average is simply the sum of the numbers, okay, that we've gotten, that the sum of the marks divided by 5, since we have 5 marks that we have to enter. So once we've gotten that average, now we'll return average as our result, okay, since the function has to have a return number. So now we'll get into our main, where we are to store our marks, okay. So what we'll do is we are going to declare an int, okay, I again for the loop, okay, since we have to, or maybe I will just declare float and then assign some numbers, some marks. I will just declare a variable mark or marks, okay, of size 5, and then I'll assign values to this array. Okay, I'll assign some marks. Let's say 10.5, 12.5, 10, 18, and the last mark. Let me look for something that will be easy. Anyway, 17.5. Okay, 17.50. So that is how we initialize it, and then with this now we'll declare a variable, another float, okay, that will be called result, and this result will be the value returned after calculating. So we'll call on the function av average, and then we'll put our parameter, which is max, the array max, as we can see here. Maybe I'll change it here to M, so that we don't mix up the names. So M is the max, okay, M is the max. So we'll take in the max here, and then at the end, once we've gotten the value, we can say, we can send a message saying the average mark is percentage s dot f, where this percentage s dot f, the percentage f dot 2f, we want it in 2 decimal places. It will be represented by result. Okay, that is it. I think this will be okay. So return 0. So we'll run our program and see how it's going to look like. So you see, so it has given the average is 12.00. So I will use a calculator to be sure. Okay. So let's just use a calculator. We use this calculator and compare the results to what we have. So I'm going to add these marks and see if it's okay. Okay, sorry. 10.5 plus 12.5 plus 10 plus 18 plus 17.5. So we have that divided by 5. Okay. Oh, how come we're having different results? Did I enter the correct values? I think so. The results were supposed to be correct. 10.5 plus 12.5 plus 10 plus 18 plus 17.5. Now we divide that by 5. Are they 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. So it's supposed to give us 12.7. What happened? Oh, we declared sum as integer. That's where the problem was. That's where the problem lies. Even average, we said average is an integer, whereas it's not supposed to be integers. That's why our results gave us an integer. So sum and average were supposed to be floating numbers. Luckily, I verified it. Okay, so you see 12.70, exactly what we wanted. So that is it for a function. So now we'll write this same program using a procedure. Again, we'll do that using a procedure. And to do that, I will just get this. Okay, I will just call the procedure here. I don't need to declare a variable called result. I will just print. So here, instead of, I will just print, and then this my message here. Then I will get it off. I'll put it right inside here. So instead of float as the function type, I'll use void. Void is to say that it does not return anything at the end. So instead I will have the average is percentage this, then I'll put the value average where we have result here. That will be the difference. Okay, it does not return anything, but it executes the instructions from the first to the last. So I'll just call on the procedure here, and then it will execute all the instructions inside the procedure without returning any value. So, see, it also gives us 12.5 or so. So that is it about procedures and functions. So for procedures, you put void because it does not return anything in return. Whereas for functions, you put the function type depending on what the function does. The return value, it's of which type. If it is a float, you put float. If it's an integer, you put integer. If it's a boolean, you put bool, and so on. So that is it. If it's a string, you put char. So that is it for functions and procedures. Again, so I don't know if we can move to another example. We'll write a program that takes an array A of random numbers and then prints the array. As simple as that. So it takes in the parameter A, which is an array of random numbers. So the random numbers are supposed to be generated before it is passed, and then inside we just print. So what we do is a random number of integers. So I will call my function maybe random. Okay, that takes in an array of integers. Okay, I will erase. Let me see. I will erase these other variables. Okay, and inside I will just have to print the elements that have been generated randomly. Okay, so I will print it inside here. Wait, maybe I'll just use a procedure that prints. I'll use a procedure and not a function. So let me say a procedure will just print those elements here. So the array, we said it's A. So A comes in. So how many elements are we even talking about here? Random numbers, how many? An array A of 10 random numbers. So it will print 10 random numbers. Okay. 10 random numbers. So we can make it up to 10 here, and then it's gonna print the 10 random numbers. They are all integers. So we'll have %d %d back to, okay, and the array is a of I. That's what it's going to print. Okay, so we have this, and now we'll declare the array here. We'll declare an array. We'll call it, you can still maintain it, or maybe run. The array will become run. Okay, run, that will contain 10 numbers. Okay, we don't need to initialize it since it will be generated randomly. So for us to use random numbers, what we'll do is we first of all need to declare a library which deals with random number. What is a library? It is a time.h library, and the second library, standard lib. Okay, so those are the libraries we need to use. Time is for the timer. So here initially we use what we call srun, that will make our timer fix, so much so that each time we run our code, it's going to generate a different number. Without this function, our numbers are going to be generated differently, are going to be fixed. Okay, so then to generate the 10 numbers, we'll use a for loop where we'll start from 1. Okay, I will move to I must be less than or equals to 10. Okay, and I must increment by 1. Okay, we need 10 numbers, and they are supposed to be generated and stored in our array run. So array run of I will receive is it run, okay, run percentage. Maybe we need 10 numbers. Let's say the random numbers are going to be numbers between 1 and 10. So we'll put 10 and then plus 1, so that it generates numbers from 1 to 10. Okay. So that's what it's going to do, and then after generating it will come in as a. So what we'll do now is we'll call on the function, we'll call on the procedure to generate a random number, which in this case, what name are we giving to it? Random. So we'll just call on random, the procedure that generates numbers, that prints the random numbers. Okay, and then the parameter will be run. Okay, that's the array of random numbers. So that's it. Let's run and see how it looks like. Oh, I was not declared. So let's run. I think it's okay now. See, those are the random numbers. As you can see them up here. These are the random numbers. Maybe I'll just write a message saying these are the 10. These are the 10 random numbers. These are the 10 random numbers. Okay, so with that now, okay, let's look at it, and voila, you see it has generated the 10 random numbers, as you can see. So that is it about functions and procedures. In our next class, we'll see how to deal with iteration and iterative functions and what do they call them? Yeah, iterative functions and recursive functions too. Okay, so that is it for our class. See you in our next class, and God bless you.